Hello.
Depending, you know what that is, don't you?
Welcome everybody.
Depending, you know what that is, don't you?
It's the Bash team here again. We're live stream, and we've got the whole panel here. So we've got Mr. Luis Sola, Mr. Aaron Defina, and we've got our special guest for this evening, none other than was it the voice of RC himself, Mr. Scotty G, Scotty Gart.
Not so special guest. Not so special guest. It's good to be with you guys.
Awesome, special for us. Definitely special for us. Yeah, so welcome everybody online. Hopefully some people are joining, and I can see some there, and subscribe and then comment if you want throughout the show. So we'll try and keep an eye on the chat, and yeah, any questions or comments or random things you'd like to say, ping it on the chat, and yeah, we'll have a talk about it. So yeah, so for this evening, we're gonna talk all things. Was it RC history, vintage, what we love about it, and we'll just see where all that takes us. So yeah, what do you reckon, guys? Lou, do you wanna jump in and give us some thoughts?
I don't have many thoughts. I don't have many thoughts. I do have on a Friday a couple of things. I do have a couple of Aaron things. And discussed earlier in Aaron and I discussed one of our various phone calls that we do. In one of our various phone calls, and it's probably a little bit about the mystique. It's probably a little bit about the mystique of what RC used to be. What motor is he going to come out with? What motor is he going to come out? Going to get to the end of the race and still be that fast? Going to get to the end of the race and still be that fast?
Yeah,
Aaron.
No, it was funny because we were talking about. It was funny because the first race meeting, the first race and I used to go to, which was down in Frankston. Lou and I used to go to, which was down in Frankston. And the cars were Optimas and the cars were Optimas and we were laughing because when a guy when a guy turned up and had that extra bit of motor sticking out the side, and it had the black end bell sticking out the side, and it had the black end bell, and you go, he's got a 360. He's come to play. He's got a 360, and then it was always the back of the car. Is he going to make it? You know, is it going to make the run time? Is he going to make it? You know, is it going to make the run time? But fornicating a Lou. If he fornicating a BT, he wasn't out there to fornicate with arachnids.
Commanding respect. Commanding respect.
Yep. But it was on.
That's another way.
It was on. So it was.
When we first started racing in 1985 or 86 or something, it was all Mabuchi 540 motors, and there was the Tamiya black motor, I think was the gun motor, and newbies we had no idea what we were doing, but we had heard about this black motor, and so we just took our Mabuchi 540 and spray painted it black, and it's got to be. Must be something to do with dissipation. It just got a black can, so we just spray painted that bad boy black, and it turns out it made no difference whatsoever. You know, but we had a black motor. That was psychological. All we knew. It's all we knew. Yeah. Good fun times. It is. I do think it was a fun thing, wasn't it? About particularly once we got to go racing modified. What motor would you be running? You know, the rumours would swirl around the pits of who was running what motor. You know, who was brave enough to kind of go down a wind and be marginal for run time. You know, now we all just strap whatever, a 6.5 turn and a 6.5 turn and
do two races.
That you leave the motor in the car for a year. There's no changing motors. To different tracks. Like there was in modified racing. Yeah. Different world.
There's a skill. There's definitely a skill. We all possessed back then, and we all unfortunately that's been lost. Yeah, you always talk about Jürgen Lortenbach. You always talk about Jürgen Lortenbach, the worlds and the first, it's car off the track between races. The only thing you would touch with between races, the only thing you would touch with is the motor. There's a few of us. I think there's a few of us.
I need to ask Lou. Was there a B final? Was there a B final that would come out on the odd occasion you're in the B main? Because you always had B main.
It was always a calculation, Scotty. So it was always a calculation. Whatever turn motor you would run, whatever turn motor you would run. turns and go up 2 pinions. 2 turns and go up 2 pinions.
Magic formula.
And that would either get you home at the end of the race, or you get you home at the end of the race, or you put on a good show.
Loose-sole, the wheel standing down the back straight at Keilor. Yeah, good times. Good times. Yeah, good times. The other thing this conversation reminds me of wheel standing is that big motors and wheel standing. The night before Tour Drive Day at Nationals or state titles or whatever, we would rebuild the car, and then we'd take it out into the hotel car park, and we would know we were ready if we could pull wheel stands at 9, 10 o'clock at night the night before Tour Drive Day. Like, had to be able to pull a wheel stand.
The hotel car park or the hotel corridor
or the hallway. Yeah.
You try not to hit the wall.
I did do some wheel stands in the car park at the Tamworth Towers. That was
Tamworth.
more than one occasion. Yeah. I bumped into, who was I talking to? Somebody this week who grew up racing at Tamworth. I think he might work for one of the online retailers now, RC Hobbies, I think it is, .com.au. We were reminiscing about the off-road track in the front yard of a skate park, Skatehaven, I think it was called, indoor roller skating rink up in Tamworth. It was a good little track, red dirt, fun times before they moved over to the current venue at Coringal. But yeah, we were reflecting on that together. It was good.
Defino, you got some stories about Coringal Hub?
Oh, lots. I think some photos have gone around where we had the Christmas demolition derby. We all had to make caravans.
Yeah.
And it was whoever had the most of the caravan left at the end of 5 minutes would win that. Oh, there was Al with his Optima that you could basically just spin, and the motor was out and it'd spin forever. There were all the other guys. Rod Boxall with an SG Coyote. That tall, I can't remember his name. There was a tall kid with blonde spiky hair who had the first RC10. He turned up with that, and he was just a monster with that around the track. And then there was always you. You were there, Sumo. You were never slow.
Yeah, but I had discovered the mojo at that stage.
But you were learning.
Thermometers.
Yeah.
To me, are hump packs.
But I was just thinking about the motors and the quads and the quints and the triples and all of the. You go up to the quint, not as much torque, but just that more revs and a real smooth, and then just you'd do them, Lou, and they'd just scream as they get higher and higher and higher on the batteries.
Actually, on that topic, I've actually found that photo you're mumbling about.
Which one? Oh, the caravan.
Yep.
Do we want to switch over to the pictures?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. There it is.
Not up on screen yet. Here it comes.
I'll bring it up. There we go.
Look at those. Look at the
That's
cars.
an Optima.
Is that a Nicomo at the front nearest to the camera? Looks like
I think it was a Nichimo, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Nichimo.
Marui Galaxy in the middle.
Yeah.
And is that a Raider or a Cox Scorpion or Bandito or something over the red one?
Oh, this is before Raider.
The caravans didn't look anywhere near like that after 5 minutes.
85?
Yeah.
It's got to be about that, doesn't it?
Yeah, Christmas 85.
So that's one of, I guess, I got a question for you guys. What are the, there's one special race meeting with the caravans, but one of the things I remember fondly is, the events that we used to put on in different places, in public places, in shopping centres, in car parks. And, because we could just run these cars anywhere, we weren't that precious about it. In Queensland, there was a race meeting in the shopping mall in the middle of Ipswich, and there was another one in the Myer Centre in the CBD in Brisbane, right up in the middle of the kind of entertainment area. We ran some races in crazy places. I'm wondering what races you guys went to that were in some of these unusual places, demonstration, public kind of display races. Where did you find yourself back in the day?
For me, the most recent one was they had a race meeting at Auto Salon.
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah.
I didn't actually go.
I went to that
but
one.
I remember it fondly.
Yeah, I went to that.
Yep.
We had another one at Warrandyte Showgrounds or something. Defino, we ran it on grass. Monster trucks.
Yep, that's where I brought the RC10 out. But I remember the first big race meeting I went to. I didn't even race. It was at the Showgrounds in the Axe Cutting Pavilion. Remember they turned that into the Nationals track?
Yeah.
And I went with Vale Richies and Chris Marshall and Brendan Coleman, and I was pitting for those guys. So, and that track lasted for a while. And they had a lot of people actually coming through and seeing that racing in there.
Remember one time we were running.
Now I'm remembering a race meeting on grass. It's Sandgate which is on the north side of Brisbane, up near Redcliffe. It was in a public park, right in the middle of the town square, and there was a lake in the middle of the park, and we had this track laid out right alongside the lake. And you know where this story's going, don't you?
Time before waterproof electronics.
Yeah. That wasn't my car, fortunately, but there were a couple of cars that did not survive the day, shall we say.
We ran a track in the CBD at one point, I remember, like right on Swanson Street. I think it was the City Square. Is it near the church there, or little Little Collins Street, corner of Little Collins or Collins and Burke? Yeah, and actually had a square there, and we had a laid out track right in the middle of the CBD. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Long time back.
Long time back. Well, we did do a couple of nationals, right? Lou, you were at the ones in Adelaide that were kind of indoors on purpose-built racetracks.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They were in car shows and stuff, weren't they?
Motor show.
Yeah. I wasn't at those, but that that's
that was 1990.
Cool. Yeah.
And obviously myself and Andy with the Car Show World Cup, that was at Alamona car park. It was just it was like a little strip where all hot rods back and forth along the beach, and right next to that there's a car park, and that's where Car Show had set up their track.
We're in Hawaii, aren't we? That's where you're talking about.
In Hawaii, yep.
When was that? How long? What year was that you guys did?
99.
99, yeah.
And how'd it go? Did you win?
We were going okay.
Funny story.
It was it's a bit of a long story, but we were going okay. But we got shafted by probably, I'm going to say, lost in translation, perhaps. The Car Show World Cup, we all had to use Car Show cars and all Car Show parts. And amongst the fine writing, one of the things that they said was you had to use the Car Show tyre, and the Car Show tyre wasn't belted. So the way that they said it was the sponge insert is free. So the way we thought it was, okay, the sponge that goes inside the tyre is free. So we asked for clarification. Are you talking about the actual item that goes inside the tyre, or the type of sponge that goes into the tyre? So back then it wasn't email, it was fax. So we got a fax back from Car Show saying that you could use only foam because it was against the spirit of the racing, that Car Show only made foam. Therefore, we had to use foam. So we're getting like buggy foams and trimming them to suit and putting them in the tyres. And obviously the insert sort of gave the tyre whether or not it could move around or not. So it made a really big difference in the early touring cars, because you remember. So these are nitro-powered touring cars. And we had to run the nostalgic bodies, as you saw in that picture I shared earlier. Anyway, we get to Hawaii, we check out the track, and we've got 2 20-minute sessions to not only set up the car, the tyres and everything else, and to also learn the track, which was quite simple, but it's still, you're racing against all guys from all over the world that have won a Car Show championship, so they're not slouches, right? So we do one run, and we're watching the Japanese teams and the American teams, and their cars are just planted. Anyway, so we finish our practice, we go back to our room, working away, and myself and Simon Badisi, we were just gas bagging away, and inside, he goes, "Oh, where are you guys from?" "Oh, we're from Australia." And he goes, "Oh, my name is Gordon something or other." He was from Great Plains in America. So in conversation, we said, "Look, what are you guys doing for the inserts? Because we've got a fax here saying that it's only foam." He goes, "Oh, no. All the American guys are using HPI, molded inserts." We're like, "How does that work?" And he's like, "Oh, no, it was too hard. It's too hard to polish." So we're like straight on the fax, right? Send a fax back to Melbourne. Melbourne sends a fax to Japan. Like 11:30 at night, we get a knock on the door, and it's one of the Japanese staff with like 3 pairs of inserts. And we're like, "Dude, like, we've already done our practice. We can't go and change the inserts now. Like, anyway, so we did the whole thing. And at one stage, I think we were sitting 7th or something like that. It wasn't, but then we just got hammered. Anyway, at the end of the thing, we jumped back on the plane, came back home, and we really, we did everything, with the spirit of the competition to do it the correct way. And the Kaisha World Cup, you're only ever meant to go once. So we wrote a big, long-winded story saying, we adhere to your spirit and, you bent the rules to suit your American drivers and everybody else. And then sent us a letter back saying that if we qualified for the next Kaisha Cup, they'd welcome us back. So we're like, all right, no worries. So we thought we'd do a sporting thing, did a race for 12 months. We did the race meeting in Canberra. Do you remember, Cookie? You teamed up with Gavin Lees.
I think it was Justin in the Canberra track.
No, that was the first one. The second one, when you didn't get through and we did.
Oh, that was with BJ. BJ, actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think it was that.
So we won the race and ended up winning a all expenses trip to Dubai, but of course that was in 2001, and you all know what happened on September 2001. So they got canned, and we ended up going to Beijing the year after. We met all the staff, and they were all happy to see us, and it was great. Kaisha World Cup. And that was also in a car park. That was in the car park of the People's Gymnasium, and the crowds was just insane. I'm sure I'll find a picture and I can show you.
Yeah, have you got the picture of the Hawaii one there? Or some pictures?
Possibly somewhere.
Anyway.
In the Chinese race, they had 2 different television stations covering it.
Wow.
They had a channel specifically for RC cars. It was crazy.
Amazing. Yeah. Touring car and 12-Scar Worlds are back in China next year. I reckon it'll be a big deal. Yeah,
it's a different China now to what it was back then. We nobody spoke English. There's another story there, but anyway, I don't want to take up the whole night.
I'm getting my car ready, Lou, for the China 12-Scar Worlds. Do you want? You might recognise the car. It's almost ready to run. Do you reckon I should run this one?
Yep.
That should go well on carpet, right?
Yep.
I can't quite see it from my screen. Does
make that full screen?
Can you make that full screen? Can we see that bigger?
I can eventually, but there's a slightly bigger one.
I have to lean in.
Wow.
Somebody at the Vintage Bash 2 years ago when I was down there had a couple of the old Shoemaker Lexan cars, the predecessor to the C car.
That was... who was that?
Who was that? Was that old Hursty maybe? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I think Hursty is right.
Yeah. Hit a couple of them there. Amazing. Very early part of Shoemaker's history.
Yeah.
There was an Australian-made 12-Scar car back in the day called a TE4. That was another folded Lexan car from Australia in the early 80s, 83 maybe, 84, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Probably the first actually Australian-made proper race chassis. Long time ago. Which reminds me, this week I had a couple of messages from Jonathan Borthwick, who was a multi-time Australian champion in the 80s, particularly 12-Scar was what he was best known for. Won a bunch of races, sending me through some photocopies of all of his articles from Airborne magazine from covering 12-Scar through the early 80s. So I'm going to dig into those and see what kind of information I can...
Well, that's funny, Scotty. I was just talking to Craig Bowring, and he was up in Queensland with Jonathan Borthwick catching up, and he just told me tonight, he said, I was catching up with Jonathan. I said, the old from the driver's seat in, what was it, Airborne? The old article that Jonathan used to write. So, yeah.
He sent me a bunch of copies. He told me they'd caught up. I need to catch up with Craig as well. It's like I keep saying that, but I haven't got around to it yet. But I will soon.
Yeah. Well, he's getting all excited again after chatting with Aaron and that. I think he'll be at the Bash this year.
Good. He's going to be there on Sunday.
Yep.
Good.
There's four drive.
Amazing driver. Incredible driver.
Yeah, so he's getting all excited, and he's collecting all these old 12 scales, the ones he had or similar ones as well recently.
probably the first Australian really to be semi-professional, travel overseas, live and race in the US for however long he was over there.
Yeah, he lived there. How long was it, Aaron? He lived there for like a year or two and raced for Reedy and Associated.
Yeah, worked for Reedy for a while, and then left that and went somewhere else.
He went,
didn't he, with Mike Walker, or
and he raced. He raced for a guy. Well, a car was a guy called Lucas. So the car was the Lucas Agitator. So yeah, he raced that for a while and worked at a company that basically supplied all the batteries, I believe, to all of the other resellers.
Yeah, he's very good. So he and Jonathan Borthwick was based in Brisbane at the time, and between the two of them, and I mean there are others around as well, Barry Korf and others that were. Greg Collings in those days was, like very competitive national standard driver, particularly in 12 scale. Before, I guess, he became better known later with Performance Hobby Supplies. But some incredible names in some of those articles. I've just flicked through the first couple of them that Jonathan sent me, so I have to. Maybe we'll mine a couple of them for some stories and share those sometime.
Yeah, brilliant. So
Good
just switch back to the screen there that Lou's got some of the Kyosho World Cup picks.
So this is the China one, Lou, is that right?
This is China, yeah.
Yeah.
Had this guy, I can't remember what team he was from, but he was MacGyver.
MacGyver?
Yeah, MacGyver, see? MacGyver lookalike. But that gives you an idea of the sort of...
Amazing.
That's not even a third of the people that were there.
Yeah.
It was insane. And there you can see that one of the cameramen from the TV station.
Yeah. Full professional equipment.
Oh yeah,
of course.
So it's a bit of a rare treat, isn't it, in our sport to get to race in front of a crowd like it, but when you do, it's a pretty cool experience. To have it makes you very nervous to have a crowd watching on.
Yeah.
Hey, they weren't nostalgia bodies.
Yeah, that was these weren't nostalgia. No, this was
the Hawaii one was.
They were like Hawaii was nostalgia. These were like Japanese GT.
Okay,
that'd be pretty cool.
Was it multiple classes at the event or a single class? Just the touring.
Just the one class. Yeah. There's the Kyosho hierarchy.
I thought that was the naughty corner.
Makes you want to be naughty.
Yeah,
exactly. Was that rain or smog?
Both. This is the Beijing sky for the full 10 days that we were there.
Amazing.
Never saw the sun once.
There you go. There we go.
That was a team.
Check out those pants.
Yeah,
but easy.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Jeff Kennett pants.
Yeah. They're like Masami pants,
awesome.
aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, these are the type of bodies we used. Just like GTs and
yeah. There was a Dodge Viper body around for a while that was pretty popular in that GT style.
I mean, in that class
late 90s, yeah.
That class was really good because it was very controlled. You could only use the parts, the Kyosho parts, and down here in Victoria, like it was massive. With a club day down here, you'd get 120 entries, and it'd be 4 heats of these cars.
Yeah.
I think is it Retro RC Racer? I think that's Darren, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he's referring that you still look the same, Lou.
No, not quite. Not quite.
It was Hursty as well, Scotty. I think that had those C cars, Lexan C cars at the last bash.
I think they were the C car was a fiberglass car. I think it was actually the predecessor to the C car that he had there.
Yep.
There you go, Scotty. This one's one for you. Who's this guy?
Whoa. Who is that? Is that Surakan?
Nicholas Lee?
Nope.
Very
good. Top of the class to you, Andy Cook.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The very young Nicholas Lee.
A very, very, very fast young driver from Singapore. What's his name? Nicholas Lee.
Yeah. Just made the move over to X-Ray recently, hasn't he? Running the Hobby Wing Asia Pacific team, and
Wow.
There you go.
Gun. Yeah, this was really a very unique experience in more ways than one.
That looked like the Kyosho put Kyosho stickers on the Tamiya bus.
Probably.
Remember that you could get the little kit of the Tamiya bus, Scotty? You could buy a model of it.
I don't remember that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Very, very interesting event.
Yeah.
The logistics behind organising this must have been enormous.
Yeah.
Hey, Cookie.
Yeah.
What was the Kyosho Cup like versus the Tamiya Cup that you did?
Good question. The Tamiya Cup was probably a lot more like luxury in terms of they looked after us every second of the day. They took us to restaurants, took us to all their factories, took us to their test track. We went and saw like the injection molding shed, I guess you could say. Yeah, and the actual racing event was in a exhibition building, so similar to the Melbourne exhibition building that we've got here. Same sort of hall. Down one end, the track was all set up, and the rest of it was a big Tamiya fair. So every Tamiya product you can imagine was on display. They had little sort of small tracks for the little tanks, like RC tanks. Not slot cars, but the mini four-wheel drives that go in the sort of channel tracks, whatever the correct name is for those. So yeah, that's whole
mini
place.
Four-wheel drives.
Yeah, mini four-wheel drives. Yeah, and those channel tracks, and the old ferret racing ones they had back then as well, which was like a three-dimensional version of it. Yeah, so the whole like sort of a fair, festival type atmosphere for that one. So yeah, that was quite a different feel. I don't know. I don't know if one was like better or worse. Well, they were both absolutely awesome. I wouldn't say they were just very different for those reasons. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but both like some of the best experiences that I've had going on those trips. Like the Kyosho Cup one with Lou and JV and Simon and Rennie as well came with us on that one. He was at like was he team manager, the Hawaii one, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he scored that, but he did well. So that was pretty cool. And then I can't remember the other guys. We had like the Tamiya Cup was like 4 different classes, and whereas the Kyosho Cup was just the one class. So Tamiya Cup they had. I was in the F1/Le Mans class, which was the GT bodies. I think we raced the F1 bodies here, but then the GT body, not GT, GTP Le Mans style
on an
prototype.
F1 chassis.
Yeah, on the F103 chassis at the time.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. It's like some of my favorite cars. Actually, I should grab it. I'll grab it in a minute. Aaron and I built it. I don't know, a couple of months or a few weeks or whatever it was before the event, and got all the good bits out of Aaron's kitchen, and all the carbon chassis and alloy motor mounts and God knows what. Had the body painted up. I think BJ might have painted it for me. Apologies if it was somebody else. And then who was it? There was Andrew Dore was running the rally class, I think. So he used to be called Plucker, if you remember Plucker. Jake Zab was the touring car class. So I don't know what it was. Can you remember, Aaron? It was like a TAO2 or something.
It was a TAO3 back in those days. They were the TAO3s.
Yes, this was in 2001, I think it was, for me. Obviously, they ran quite a few years. And there was, what was the other class? There was a 4th class as well. And I apologize again because I can't remember the guy's name.
Was it Mini? Were they running Minis at that?
Yeah, could have been.
Or drive or something?
So it was Rally.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Maybe Mini. Yeah. Good chance. Anyway, so 4 classes, and the winners from the nationals here, obviously, for those 4 classes, we travel over together, and we had absolutely incredible. I'll probably crap on all night about this. You better stop me. But yeah, it was just an awesome experience. Like all the Japanese food, of course, and they took us to all these cool restaurants for lunch and dinner, and really nice hotel. I think the hotel freaked us out. We walked in, there's a big marble staircase and stuff, and never stayed in anywhere like that before. And we're like, oh, what's going on here? Are we in the right place? And yeah, they just like had like one of their staff looked after each country.
Wow.
So they had like a dedicated, Tamiya staff person that looked after us, pretty much 24/7. Would like meet them for breakfast and take us to the track and take us to lunch and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was phenomenal. I'll see if I can find some pictures for a future. I've got one picture. I'll grab it in a minute, but I'll see if I can find some others. I probably don't have too many, but it was amazing experience.
We'll just change the name of this podcast to Reminiscing with Cookie.
Yeah, that's it.
It'll be all good.
I'll let you talk. I'll go and get the car and then I'll shut up for a second.
I was during the week. Actually, I was thinking about the F102, wasn't it? The second of the Tamiya F1 releases, and came out in the, I don't know, where are we now? Mid-90s, maybe mid to late 90s. And Formula One racing in Brisbane was huge. Was in a track that was painted on the car park in a local railway station. Tuesday night World Championships, people like Steve Perry and Darren Perry and Keith Mackerel and myself, and we would spend all night racing, and we all had the same car. So, and the reason I was thinking about that was because it felt to me like the equivalent to the Hornet Evo class, this kind of one make, controlled, ever so close. None of us, there was no changes you could make to the car. We were running 540 motors. Like it was such a blast. And then, so last Sunday I was over at Chargers watching the Hornet Evo class. There was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something like that. Hornet Evos running around on Sunday afternoon. And I was having flashbacks to the F102 days of, that kind of one make, which you were just talking about, Lou, with the Kyosho, that kind of one make racing, how much fun it can be when everyone's running the same thing.
It's a case of less is more, Scotty.
Yeah. One of the boys on Sunday threw me the radio. I think it was Jason Ryan or Brett Ryan. I can't remember which one of them it was now, but both of them drive with sticks. So I had to drive a Hornet Evo around the Chargers dirt track with a stick radio. I've not held one in my hand for a long, long time.
Were you full Masami?
I did about 3 laps and then gave the radio back to him and said, I'm out. I can't drive that.
But I bet you were smiling, Scotty.
It was good. It was fun, yeah. And to be honest, I spent the whole rest of the day watching those boys go at it in the Hornet Evo class going, maybe I should have a Hornet Evo.
Everybody should have one.
It was good. Cookie's got the car. He's returned.
So there it is. What's the best
So
angle?
what's under the body? It's a F103 kind of... Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the sort of Le Mans carbon chassis on it, but yeah, F103. Yep. Not much in there.
No, it's good.
Yep, that was that. And this was, not sure if you'll be able to make it out or not, but this was me getting the car signed by Mr. Tamiya.
Wow.
Look at the haircut. Bart Simpson.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, literally a photograph. I haven't got this scanned in. I'll have to scan it. But that's boys and girls. That's what photos used to be. Yeah. So got So he signed it. Where is it? I think on the top there.
On the roof.
Yeah. So.
Wow. It's cool memories, mate. It's cool memories.
Yeah. So that was that one.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Vintage Bash.
Oh yeah, so I mean that just got me thinking about that Hornet Evo, which I know is a class at the Bash. And Cookie, while you're away, I was just saying that thinking about the F102 reminded me of one make racing, and then which reminded me about the Evos last Sunday. And that Hornet Evo is a class at the Bash. Lou, you were gathering some photos during the week. People are starting to build some cars, yeah.
Yeah, Cookie's built one.
Yep.
There it is. Look at that. Simplicity at its best.
Got a few speed secrets from Brett and Jason Ryan on the weekend. I was just sitting there opposite them going, what can you do and what can't you do? They're very carefully following the rules, but there are still things you can, do within shocks and things and tuning. And So I can't say what they were. That's, lips are sealed. But
I'll just turn the volume so nobody will be able to hear.
yeah,
Okay, it's done. Now, what were they?
I'll text you later. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I've got.
Interestingly, their cars were set up quite differently within the realms of what you can do, and yet they were, I don't know, within a tenth of a second or two a lap.
I was going to say that
so it didn't seem to make.
Does it make any difference now?
No.
I have to. Everyone's doing such cool paint schemes. I've got to decide what to do. Although being into 3D printing, I'm kind of thinking this is a clue.
A cage.
Are you going to replace the body with a cage? We're going Marui Galaxy style.
Oh,
Look at that.
I see. You're going to have 3D flames on the side of the body.
Yeah.
And that could be an aerodynamic
Disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yep, those when it cracks the 197 miles per hour, it's going to completely mess up the vortices and the Bernoullis.
It'll lose jumping traction, Solar.
Yeah.
The jumping traction, yes.
As the Bernoulli effect will take away all the jumping traction.
Yeah.
It's going to be flying.
Sorry, that's a very in joke, Scotty. I think, have you still got the piece of paper, Solar, or have I?
No, you probably still got it.
I'm smiling and laughing as if I know what you're talking about. I've,
just
like the rest of the viewers,
smile.
and going, the Bernoulli effect. Yeah.
There were a lot of theories about what gave you more speed, RC racing, and there are a lot of explanations being used with some fairly big words. And so Solar and I one night, I think it was after a painting session or something, we got a piece of paper and basically a scientific textbook and just started using big words and writing all these things down. And, the Bernoulli effect will help increase the jumping traction because of this and this.
I think we had Doppler effect. We had all sorts of stuff.
But it was just, you're at the track and you just had to give everybody grief. And it was always about, trying to one-up each other. And it was all these things that people are talking about, jumping traction. You're going, what in heaven's name is jumping traction? And
the little secret stuff.
I'm sure I've told this story somewhere before, but I'll tell it again. That I think we were at, might have been Hawthorn in the mid-90s in Brisbane, Hawthorn track. And I'd been to an IT trade show during the week and picked up like a little plastic LED torch, like it was a little rectangular box, maybe 5 mil thick, maybe 20 mil across by 30 mil long, something like that. Little LED in the corner. On one side it had the IT vendor's logo, and on the other side was just plain plastic. So we double-sided taped this onto the roof of the body and ran a little wire out of the torch, tucked in through the windscreen of the body down, and tucked it in underneath the speed control. And then just as we would put the car on the track, we'd make a big fuss of, I'd call out to my mate Murray, make sure you set it right, and he'd flick the switch on this slide so the LED in the corner would light up, and there was a wire going off down inside the body, tucked under the speed control. And we had a great time all day, going, we're fooling everyone that we've got some super secret traction control or whatever. I can't even remember what we were telling.
Bernoullis.
Yeah. It was good time.
It sounds like a polarizer.
The Peter Brock polarizer, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
We're just laughing about the 540s, and I was thinking about it. If we've got 540s being run at the bash, we better stop people dipping them in shellite like they used to in the old days, because we worry about lipos and flame-proof bags, and here it was with the old shellite, the 540, and they'd run it and they'd pull it out all of a sudden and go, poof.
Blow it up or something.
You had fires in the pixel.
There were a few singed eyebrows back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Talking of fire and singe, I think Robbie's going to put real flames on his Hornet Evo. So it's not just three-dimensional flames, there'll be real flames, like some sort of Hunger Games or something, I assume.
I'm not marshalling that. No, I'm not marshalling that race. No.
We'll let you marshal it with a shovel, Scotty. You just sit it and whack it back with a shovel.
What if the car is actually on fire? I mean, we'll film it, we'll broadcast it, we'll stream it to the world, but I'm not marshalling it. That's it.
Which is,
I'm sure our Japanese contingent would be impressed with flames coming out of the back of the Hornet Evo.
Super flamo.
Yeah.
That's probably a good segue there, Scotty, in terms of commentating and filming at the bash.
like we planned it, Cook. It's like we planned it. Yeah.
Professional. So we have, fortunately, or very, very nicely, got your services again for this year's bash.
Can't wait.
And part of RC Race Media.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So yeah, I think for and you've already announced this, that the whole event will be live streamed, and Tony and Matt, you know, the guys from RC Race Media, the brains and the brawn behind the whole thing, you know, what they produce. We've seen, you know, the world-class production that the two of them put together, and you know, for us for the three of us to come down and work with you guys to bring the Vintage Bash to the world, and to do some things that, you know, you're asking us to do things that we don't normally do. Normally when we go to a race meeting, we're all about what happens on the racetrack, you know, every second of action that we can kind of follow, and then we squeeze everything else in around that, interviews and pit walks and all of that. You know, the delight and the challenge but the delight of the Vintage Bash is that, as we know, as you've spent the last 3 years reminding everyone, it's actually not all about what happens on the track. It's also about what's going on in the pits and who's brought what car and what stories attached to what car. And so we're gonna do our very best to bring some of that to life as well. To bring the stories from the people, the cars, the connections with history and so on that are there, and bring that all to be a part of the coverage, not just what's on the racetrack. Although of course we will be interested in what happens on the racetrack.
Yeah, wicked. So it'll be a good balance. Yeah, whether it's 50-50 or whatever it turns out to be, but it'll be a good balance of both.
Yeah, and you know, I think look, Matt's the main tech genius and the cameraman, and you know, he'll be fresh from you know, we're doing this Asian Buggy Championship Series. He'll be fresh from the 10 Scale Worlds, possibly an on-road race in Korea in October. So the speed of the cars at the Vintage Bash will be just a little more relaxed for him. So, you know, he'll be able to, you know, kind of well follow what's going on the track a little bit slower than what he's used to.
Those Hornets might be a bit quick for him, though. I'm thinking.
I mean, especially the flames, getting the flames in focus, coming out the back.
Challenge.
Yeah, no, it's. I can't wait to get down there, and couldn't get there last year. Was there a couple of years ago, and you know, just to be there and to wander around the pits and to look and see and talk and listen, and you know, as you have often said, you know, the buzz that goes around the pits far surpasses whatever happens on the track. Although what happens on the track is amazing, you know, to see the cars that you see. So, you know, anyone that's not already committed to come, I mean, don't just watch it online. Come and be a part of it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to be a part of it again.
Brilliant.
We're on the topic of cars and racing and whatever else. Aaron, maybe we need to discuss while we're online our thoughts and our reasoning behind it. Because I've had people message me, do you think this motor will be competitive? Will this be okay? Do you want to divulge a little bit into, first of all, our rules, which is not really rules, it's more like a guideline than anything else, and how we sort of come upon them?
Yeah, it's one of those funny things where it was the rules or the guidelines or whatever it is that we've always been talking about was to have the right cars together on the track, because you're looking at stuff and, you know, you've got a Grasshopper from, you know, whenever that was built versus a Triple X. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't, you know, like, ignore the speed or anything else like that. It just doesn't feel right. Whereas if you get the right windows like we've got, and I call them a window because you've got a selection of time where you have the cars that were around in that window are all then going to be on the track together. So it's like what you would have seen back in the day, because you'll have all those types of cars that were racing back in the day from our memory. So like the early the 85 era, you should be having the Scorpions, the Frogs, you know, all those sort of things that were around in that era. You don't want to see an RC10 Worlds racing in that class because it wasn't there. Don't worry about the speed. It just doesn't look right. It's just not how it feels. So that's the thing. And then with the motors too, it was the same sort of theory. Putting a 7.5, you know, motor into the back of a Grasshopper is not quite in the spirit of what you've got. It'll be funny, don't get me wrong. And you'll get a lot of views on YouTube for what happens, but it's not quite right.
That's the one with the flames coming out the back, right?
Yeah. That's right. I can get the flames coming out without adding flammable materials. You can just have it all just come out the back. I didn't know that Tamiya gears burnt that well, But so it was that. It's that idea of having it so it's the Italian word's sort of like simpatico. It's right. It's got the sympathy for what the car is, and having respect for what the car is. Like you can make a vintage car handle big power, but it's just not right. It just doesn't look right on the track. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't do that. So you drive them with equivalent motors. And like you said, Scotty, the F102s, you were running with 540s at the time. And it was great racing and it looked good and it looked right.
Amazing.
Same with the cars. You've got the early cars running, the slower motors. Then you've got the 21.5s that give about the right feel because they're sort of like the mods were back in that early starting day. And then as you go a bit further, you then put the 17.5s in, and that's sort of more like a modern mod. So, you're just sort of working your way up to where the speeds are real, they look right, and they're running right. Now, that's the theory. It was just to try and make it so that it was representative of what you saw back in the day, where we can. And then people start to also feel comfortable about bringing out their cars because you're out running a super rare SG Coyote that was around in 1985, 1984. Some guy with a triple X comes past, or a double X4 comes past and takes the corner off it. And you'll sort of go, that's no, there's not that fun, or they'll feel nervous, or they don't want to get in the road of them. They're worried about getting in the road of the fast guy. So it's like we keep saying, watching what happens on the track is cool, but it's an exhibition, not a competition. It's not about who can do the thing. If they want it to be a competition, there's going to be guys with bits of coloured electrical tape and all those, the people counters on the side of the track.
Sheep counters. Sheep counters.
Yeah, and then when the 5 minute goes, you've got to swap, and then you go, oh, what was that? 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, all the old numbers around the edge of the track that you used to score with,
Who could roll the furthest after the whistle went?
Yeah, that was always, you could always pick up 1 or 2 points after the whistle had gone, and it just, I don't know what's happening, my trim must be out as it keeps rolling forwards, the old classic.
The trim was out.
That's where Lou and I sort of came to, and what's funny is, those ideas came about really early. It wasn't like it took a long time for it to come out. It was as soon as the vintage ideas started coming out, it was get all the cars together in their groups. So, it's like you got all the preps, then you got all the grade 6s, then you've got all the year 12s. Don't put a year 12 with a prep because it's not going to be good. Or, the year 12 will get killed by the prep, that sort of stuff. So, yeah. And it doesn't, and it hasn't really needed to change. No.
And the other thing that's made a massive difference to the cars now is the LiPo power, because I can tell you, even a Mabuchi, like a Silvercan 540, and most of these cars with the LiPo, is actually quite a fast little thing.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, we had we got sent down some sample motors from Hobbywing for a 1989 A Final Recreation, and they sent us down a 23-turn single. Now, back in our day, if someone said to you that they were going to put a 23-turn single in a car, you would have just laughed at them but when you see a 23-turn single go with a LiPo, it's actually quite fast, isn't it, Cookie?
Yeah, it was a good speed. Because you tried a couple of different teeth and a different timing, and it was like, it looks good. Like, it's not too slow, it's not too fast. It'll let us have some really good, races for that recreation spectacle. So pretty cool.
Is the recreation class running period tyres, or are you running sort of modern tyres on those cars?
Oh.
No.
There's going to be a bit of a cry because only the Associateds are going to have the 2.2s, and everyone else is going to have the old 2s. So there's going to be tears.
Yeah, no, we're rewriting history on that a little bit. Lou, did you want to describe what we're thinking?
So Andy's arm wrestling with Jason Rona, J Concepts, to come through with some goods.
Yeah.
So, I like to do the what ifs. So imagine if Team Lucy may have gotten their hands on TR31s at the 89 IFMAR Worlds.
Yeah.
I think Masami would have one less world championship to his name. So all the cars will have 2.2 rears, representative of something that's going to grip. So we're probably going to have J Concepts double Ds or something on the back.
Yeah.
all the cars will have the same motor and speed controller, the same gear ratio, so they'll all be about the same speed.
Yeah.
Front tyre wise, we're not 100% sure yet, but I'd stick my neck out and say we're probably going to have some J Concept fronts as well, just ribs.
Yeah,
some sort of rib.
Whether or not we run the same type of rim, my suggestion was that everyone run pink Yokomo rims because that was what was around in the
pretty common.
say nines in '89. So that could still happen.
Yeah, actually, should we do not right now, but do a poll or something on that? Because my idea was, or my thoughts was to have all the rims that looked similar to what they had on the cars at the time. Like, for example, the JC Racing Products in the UK guys. They have all the rims. Yeah. So we could go that way, like all 2.2, but have them so that they got the 5 spokes and the Kyosho dish and spoke kind of thing, and get them matching all of the cars. Or we could go like the Yokomo pink rears, white dish fronts across all of the 10 cars is another option. So we're thinking about that both ways and not sure which way to go. So
you can go period correct and we can machine some alloy 2.2s up for the lossies like they did back in the day in '89.
The JC ones are all 2.2. They look about right, but they're all 2.2. Yeah.
No, I'm just laughing going, Lossy did overnight.
Yeah.
Lossy spun some rims up, brought them over and they bent and they were no good. But
Yeah, that's right. They got them, was it made within the days of the event or something and got them shipped, I'm sure, at great expense. Yeah,
it's Formula One's. It's Formula One stuff, isn't it? Like a mechanic showing up to a racetrack with spare parts in his carry-on luggage, kind of to overnight produced go fast bits.
Yeah,
that's going to be so much fun to watch or call or be a part of, or all three of that recreation of that 1989 Worlds.
Well, I reckon the best part is, and I don't know whether I'm spoiling it, Lou, but remember you said you were going to enter it with the drivers' names from the era, so it was going to be Rory Cull and, like Masami and Jay Hazley, so the cars will be being called out as they were in the day. It's going to be like mad.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
There'll be a long queue to get to be Masami or to be Jay Halsey or
hopefully there's long queues for them. I think we've got lots of offers. Or is it lots of candidates and volunteers?
We've got a few.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Which one are you?
Just depends who shows up.
Yeah. So Scotty, which one do you want to drive? There might be a Schumacher in there. I'm not sure.
You got to drive the Top Cat, Scotty. Schumacher.
I never raced a Top Cat. I came to Schumacher after that, and not my favourite car in the world.
Exactly right. That's why you got to drive it.
In 1989, I stood trackside and watched the Worlds. I was that year racing 4-drive stock with a Yokomo, a YZ870C. And I said to my dad, who had just bought a brand new JRX2, Dad, I want to go back to 2-drive modified. I'm taking the JRX2. You can have the Yokomo and go run stock, but I'm going back to 2-drive mod. So that event sent me back to 2-drive modified, and the JRX2 was the weapon of choice for the 1990 season for me. I remember my dad being quite gracious about it, but as I look back on it now and go, it was a brand new car. He'd saved and bought that car, and he'd had it just a few weeks, and I was like, I need that car, Dad. You can have the Yokomo. I need the Lossy. I need to go back. Yeah.
That event caused a lot of fun. I've still got something that Lou gave me from that event from a long time ago. I have a 16 double armature that was Lou got, and there's a history about him getting it, but it was, and he kept talking about it, but that armature was unholy. It used no batteries, it wouldn't dump, and it'd pull stands down the straight. There was something just beyond natural and beyond normal with that armature, wasn't there, Sumo?
The balance, I don't know what it was, but
amazing.
The wire gauge,
amazing.
Kyosho had their own motor man at that event.
Yeah,
and that was his. I got gifted a 16 double from the motor doctor.
It's good.
Spokes on the Lossy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe on the front, but you could imagine if Team Losi got hold of the wheel adapters and the rims.
You do like playing that what if game, don't you, Lou? Like you.
Because I mean, in an alternate reality, it could have happened.
Well, it happened in reverse in England, didn't it, Solar? Kinwald got a hydro drive.
Yeah. That's right. Changed the game. Changed the outcome of the event.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it 8th on the grid? And
Yeah.
and shot through to win the. Was it the first two finals? I think he won, or was it down to 3? Oh, it might have gone to the third one.
3.
No, I went to 3. I thought.
Yeah.
It went to 3.
I had someone on the podcast a couple of years ago telling that story. I don't know if it was Rick Howard or
Drescher, maybe.
Might have been Craig Drescher. Yeah, one of those guys was telling the story of how they went scouring hobby shops all over England to find, hydro drives and the RC10 lay shaft, and I think it was Craig Drescher. Yeah, it was a good chat, good story. Yeah.
Well, that was a what if that came true.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't happen often to win from that far back on the grid, but
no,
that was a good one.
Yeah, so those cars are coming along. I've got what have I got? 3.5 built of the prototypes, and
Okay.
Lou's got, I think, all 3, is it, or at least 2 of the Losi Jareks.
Yep.
Yep. I've got a backup one just in case. We've got Darren Johnson's building one.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a backup one.
Brilliant.
I've got the Mike Dunn and the Ron Rossetti. The problem is there's such few photos of the grid, so a lot of the cars that you just the front couple of rows you can get photos, i.e. the Jay Halsey one, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Butch Clover.
And we can see Butch Clover behind there. That's very simple.
Yeah.
We've got a decent idea of what.
That's Rick Howard, I think. Butch Clover was.
Clover was
he was in the
Marlboro style.
Yeah, he had Marlboro.
Yeah, he didn't make the A in the '89. I think he was in the A in '91.
Oh, didn't he in Tour Drive?
Yeah, I think
he was
he
was in.
Yeah.
Four-wheel he was.
Four-wheel he was
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Finished on the podium.
I think he won the B final and Tour Drive at that one.
Okay.
Just missed it. Yeah, it's that Rick Howard? Is that right? Not Rick Howard. I'll look it up.
No, Rick wouldn't have been at that Worlds.
I'll have to look that one up.
Cookie, I raced against the '89 Cookie GP3D '89 car on Sunday at Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
With my Cougar 2.
Awesome.
Much to my shame, I was beaten by the team associated.
Oh.
John Perkins was absolutely wheeling on Sunday. He was quick, unstoppable, and the car was really good. Interestingly, after we finished racing, after the third final, we were both still on the driver's stand. We were in the last race, so we just kept cutting laps and while everyone was packing up. But we swapped radios and drove each other's cars. And we'd been in that particular race. We'd been within a tenth or two of each other the whole run. Like, it was very close. The cars were so different. It was amazing. I after a few laps was going, John, I don't know how you can drive this. I could not drive it. And he was going, you've got so much steering. How can you hang on to it? It was amazing how different the cars were. Yeah. That's an '89 replica RC10 versus the '92 Cougar 2. Same lap speed, same performance, but just incredibly different to drive. That was amazing. It was good fun.
Yeah, it's weird that almost every time when I give my car to somebody to drive, or vice versa, I drive somebody else's. Yeah, it's just the feel of them is so weird, not just not bad or good, but just different.
No, just different.
Yeah, foreign, strange. It's extraordinary why it's like that always.
We get used to our stuff, I guess. That's the thing. We get, however it works, we learn to drive it and to do the laps and to do the times, and yeah, it's good. So while I'm on that, Chargers, Brisbane, running the Vintage Muster the first weekend in August. I know you guys talked about that last fortnight. It's a really fun little racetrack. Like, it's not big, and I think two-wheel drive lap times are in this sort of 15, 16, 17 second category or bracket. Four-wheel drive's a little bit quicker, so the laps turn off pretty fast. But gee, it's a fun little racetrack, and it kind of the dirt grooves up, and the grip's decent, and it's really fun. Club day last Sunday, and that Vintage Muster will be a really good warm-up for the Bash. And a really good crew of people putting on a fun weekend. Yeah,
looking forward to that one. Rick Velo. Yeah. Rick Velo was that other car I was trying to think of, not Rick Howard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Rick Velo. Jamie Booth, Craig Drescher, Jack Johnson, Joel Johnson, and Ron Rossetti was the others after the top four. with Jay Halsey, Cliff Lett, Mike Dunn, and Masami, of course.
Yeah. Jack?
In the days of the rocket round.
Yeah.
Yeah, your one best is your position in the final.
That's a great photo you've got there, Lou. The JRX Pro.
Yeah. Well, both Andy Cook and Aaron DeFino will tell you about that car.
Cheat code.
That's unbeatable.
The cheat code car.
Pull trigger, car goes.
Yeah.
Just point it into the direction and let the car do the rest.
It looks good. You know, sometimes when you look at a photo of a car, you can just see that it looks well balanced, and you can just see in a photo that even though it's a photo, you shouldn't be able to tell, but you can just look at that car and go, that looks well balanced.
That's understating how good that car is, that photo. Yeah. That's the problem. That car is better than that photo shows.
Yeah.
That's just, it's supernatural, that car.
And you know, at the time, Scotty, that was my least favourite Losi out of all of them.
Was it?
Yeah.
What's the ranking order? What's your ranking order of Losis over
Pro SC number
history?
1.
Yeah.
Double X, the original one.
Yep.
Second. Then probably the CR after that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the CR as much as I did the original, but it was faster. The 5-link was pretty good. And then this thing, I hated it. But now it's just so good. Probably because of the tyres that we had at the time, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's the evolution, isn't it? That again, to tell a quick recent story from Chargers, Andy Nelson and I both showed up at Chargers to run our Cougar 2 re-release cars, put them on track for the first time. And I haven't got any tyres, so I just went and picked up some modern tyres, put it on, and my car was great. Really easy to drive, really fun, perfect. Nelson did the right thing and put on some Proline 8081s and, obviously tyres that have been sitting around in a box for the last 40 years, 30 years. And the difference was incredible. And that was the only difference. Cars were built same, setup same power. But he was a second a lap slower and there's nothing he could do about it. The tyres just don't do the job compared to a fresh modern tyre. Yeah.
But it's fun driving or trying to drive the car with the tyres that you had.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's a pretty cool pick. I love that.
It's awesome. Look at it.
That's something else
that
comes out of the Vintage Bash. Some of the guys that take the photos at these events are just unbelievable.
Yeah, good photography is amazing, isn't it?
Doesn't hurt to have a good set of looking paint jobs either.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like all these awesome cars and paint jobs that give it good material for the photographers.
Yeah.
Actually, we're probably don't know how we're going to do it, but we're probably looking for somebody to maybe help us out with the photography at the Bash, in terms of working with the RC Race Media guys. So if anybody's interested, so it's sort of, we don't just want somebody that takes photos, puts them on their own site or photo sharing gallery or whatever. Like if you want to do that, that's brilliant, and a lot of the guys do, and we love those photos because they look so awesome. But if anybody out there wants to or is interested to chat with us about that, reach out, because we'll be probably looking for somebody like a team, RC Race Media team photographer to do that for the day. It'll take quite a lot of work. I don't really know much about it, but we'll need to put watermarks on the photos and download them at the end of the day and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah. Some of the races that we cover, the favourite ones for me are when I get to work with a photographer. So sometimes I do it, but it's much better when I'm with Tate Firth. So Tate, for example, will be in Brisbane in a few weeks' time for the Asian Buggy Champs, and he's a gun, and I'll just say, hey Tate, I think I need this set of 20 photos, to tell a story of qualifying round 3. Can you whip something up for me? And off he goes and, shoots a bunch of photos, processes them there at the track, watermarks it all. And 15 minutes later, I've got a thumb drive with a bunch of photos on it. And he's amazing. It's a high pressure in the sense that, we're trying to get lots of content out really fast. So it's a really different way of doing photo processing than sitting down at night, going through 1,000 photos and picking out your best 20. We're trying to pump out lots of content through the day, but it's a fun pressure. It's good.
That's good selling.
Yeah.
Good selling pitch.
Yeah, it's a fun pressure.
Yeah.
It's good, and I'll be really kind. I'll be really polite. Say, please, could you go and get me a photo of Lou Solar, sideways, hanging it out with that JRX Pro? That's the photo I need to tell the next story. Please, can I have the Hornet Evo with the flames coming out the back from the 7-turn motor? That's what I need. Yeah, it's good times. It is. That's one of the other ways that RC has changed, isn't it? Like, we often talk about the tracks and the cars and the drivers and the tires and the motors, and I was just thinking during the week about the way media has changed. And we when Racing Lines landed in 1991 after the Canberra Nationals, episode 1 of that magazine, which went on over the next 25 years to be amazing, and Dirt and Track magazine, we spoke about Airborne earlier, that coverage, which we would all hang out for that next magazine to drop at the newsagent, hoping to get, that it'd have the story of the Nationals or the, whatever race we wanted to read about, hoping that your name would be in print or that there'd be a photo of your car. It was amazing. And the media stuff now is not just the organized media, but just the way that everybody is producing content, photos, and video and streaming and vlogs and all sorts of stuff. That's as the world has changed, so has the coverage of RC racing, and I love it. I love it just as much now as I did writing for magazines 30 years ago.
It's a bit different though, Scotty. Like, it used to be like you get those magazines, but that's how you got your knowledge. So like, you'd be looking at the setups from the guys overseas.
Yeah.
And you'd be there going, what's he done to his car? So you'd be scrutinizing that photograph with basically, one of those jeweler's magnifying glasses and going, hold on, that's not a standard set of screws, or that's something different. And you'd be then trying to work out how to do that on your car. And I know I did that with a lot of my vintage buggies, where they were inspired by what you could see from the photos overseas. Like, especially early on in the 85 era, when it was really an engineering thing with those, the Cox Scorpions and all that sort of stuff, where they'd basically be building cars. Like, it wasn't just buy and bolt, it was actually cut and shunt. And, you'd have the pit stop Taipan had an RC10 front end on the, with the MIP trailing arm and the gearbox on the back and everything else. And you're going, it's just this hodgepodge of parts put together to make it go faster than your mates. And I don't know, but it's like what Lou's done with his stuff that he's doing now. That Hornet replica he built. Yeah. That the Hornet, what was it, the World's Hornet Evo thing that you did, Solar, and you did it with sympathy to what you could have in the day. So you haven't got the modern parts. You've rummaged around in the boxes and built what you could.
I do remember putting lay down rear shocks on a hot shot that we saw a photo of in a magazine from America. So we went, all right, we think we can see how they've done that, and off we went to do it. Actually, I remember, Lou, did you tell me a story about when you first started playing with the Top Force, about pouring through British magazines, looking at photos and advertisements from shops and finding different parts and things that, was what led you to kind of really experiment with that Top Force?
Yep. Yeah, it was RCRA, maybe? One of the British magazines.
Yeah.
Radio Control Car Action.
Yeah, Radio Control. It wasn't American. It was definitely a British magazine.
There was Radio Race Car was one of them.
Radio Race Car, maybe.
Yeah, and then it was RC Model Cars, I think, was the other one.
RC Model. Well, it was one of the two. I've actually got the. Give me a sec, and I'll find. I've actually got the article that that made me go, oh, hang on, this has got potential. And I think it was on something on Jamie Booth's Manta Ray.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got it in here somewhere. But don't dwell on me. That's a good picture of the Gunts car.
It's Ash Coble, courtesy of Ash Coble, this photo.
Yeah.
Ash takes some good photos, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah. I shared some of my was it the 89 car that I ran at the clubby the other day, and just after the clubby he took some photos using just his phone, not a pro camera or anything. And I looked at them and I'm like, oh my god, it looks awesome. It's like motion blur, and it was It's incredible the pics he takes. He just
'Cause
gets
the
the
other
right
thing that-
angles.
The other thing that would be in those magazines was not just the articles, but remember those like shop advertisements with page after page after page of, these are the components we sell, or the motors, or and the prices were there, and you'd pore over the Tower Hobbies ad in RC Car Action, or whatever it was, to see what.
Then you subscribe there, so you get their magazine every quarter.
Yeah.
They give you that big magazine with everything.
Yeah, so this was the actual article that I saw that gave me the idea about how to butcher the rear end to get anti-squat and towing and
Amazing. You were amazing. You are amazing, Lou.
There's Robbie was saying that he wants some of the magic dust that you sprinkle, Lou, on your cars.
magic dust.
Yeah. Are you going to market
I don't know about
a
that.
package of magic dust? Or?
I don't. Let's just be a little bit careful about selling a packet of dust at the side of the track.
Yeah.
Sumo
Who knows
shaker.
what's in that packet? A little packet of white powder.
No. That happens late at night at Knox anyway.
Right. Okay. Now we're getting a bit of local information.
Yeah, super cool, this thing. And
Yeah.
Awesome.
Someone had a replica of that at the bash I was at.
yeah, I think James Knight.
Yeah, it was James. Yeah.
Yeah, James Knight painted
He's
it
got
up
some
like that.
cool stuff, hasn't he? Like some of the.
Oh, we've dropped out.
Amazing.
Oh, cool. I think we're back. I think we dropped out there well, I did
Yeah,
anyway, at least.
we've all dropped off the stream. I think Cookie's there on his own, and the three of us have disappeared from it. I don't know what's happened.
Okay, you should
Got my-
be coming back. I think it's
Classic.
coming back. That was
I don't know.
awesome internet.
That's pretty cool.
Are we back?
Internet fresh. Yeah, I think it's back, but might
I
need
don't
to
know
might
what's
need to
happening.
reshare your screens, Lou or Scotty as well, if you want to. Can you? Oh, there we go.
Wow. That's awesome.
What a way to finish off the telecast.
Yeah. There we go. It's all
Cookie's just out of here.
it's all back.
Yep, just threw us all under the bus.
Classic.
Oh, excuse me.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're back in.
So Cookie, I don't know if you can see us and hear us, but we cannot
Yeah.
see or hear you. So whether we just keep saying whatever we feel like we want to say, but there you go.
Yeah, I think it's coming back gradually.
He says, yes, keep going. Keep going. Let me think. There was a couple of other things I did want to just talk about today. What was it? What did I have on my notes here?
That's a bit professional
We
notes.
talked. I know. I can't, because my memory doesn't work.
You always got notes.
My memory doesn't work very good anymore. And so now I've got to have notes. We've talked a bit about some tracks, different kinds of tracks we raced on, cars, drivers, media. Yeah, no, actually, I think we've covered off most of the things that I thought would be fun to talk about. I did, yeah. My reflection on having raced at Chargers a couple of times now, and which has been my first regular off-road 10 scale for quite a few years, and really fun to be back, is just that the thing about vintage cars and driving them. This is the phrase that's come to mind for me, and I don't know where it came from, but it's not even about how the cars feel when you drive them as much as it is how they make you feel when you drive them.
Yeah.
That's a valid
especially
comment.
for me, being a shoemaker guy, like, as I was for quite a few years, to have that Cougar 2 Works re-release car, I just, like, I'm just out there turning laps, and it's a simple little track layout, but it's just so much fun to drive, and it handles fine, but it doesn't matter. Like it's just the smile it puts on your face, and I'm doing my best to keep up with John Perkins, who honestly we were racing together in the 80s, he and I, and here we are both, kind of at the other end of life, and we're still racing together. People like Peter Scott, who I grew up racing with in the 80s, is out there with an RC10. And that's the part of vintage that I've, just even last Sunday, really enjoyed. Not about how good the car handles, but how good it feels to drive those cars.
That's the key.
Yeah, it's fun times.
That's a big thing that we try to get the message across to people, and it gets back to the earlier thing that I said about, is this motor going to be competitive? It's not. It doesn't really matter. And I nag a lot of people because they say they've got shelf queen cars. Well, who are you saving it for? Unless it's something that you think you can make $1 on it. Well, if that's the case, then sell it.
Yeah.
But the real experience from these cars comes from actually putting it on the track and remembering again what it felt like to drive, a 5-link Lucy or Optima Mid with do you know what I mean? That's what brings you the smile. And I've seen people particularly come down to these events and you give them a transmitter and they haven't driven for a long period of time, and within 2 or 3 laps they're already back to the way they were before they hung up the transmitter, and they come off the driver's stand with a smile that they can't sort of stop. And that's simple. It's just remembering what it's like to drive these cars, and they drive so differently to the new cars too. You can slide them and you can power on out of the corner, and the track doesn't need to be perfect for them to be able to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
And there's another thing there too, Lou, that I always found fascinating was it wasn't just you driving the car on the track, it was also you watching cars that you lusted after, and it brings back memories when you're watching the other cars going around the track. So like, you're watching things getting pulled out that you couldn't afford back as a child, but you remember watching those being driven around the track by, the heroes of the day, and you sit there and you go, wow, you get these people going, I haven't seen one for 20 or 30 years type stuff. And you've nearly got that for one of it's going to sound funny, but you've got an obligation to be a curator of those memories for everybody else, because you've been lucky enough to have one of those cars. Yeah. Keeping it in your own room is okay, but the ability to share it and let somebody else enjoy it as much, nearly as much as you, because they're watching it, it's bringing back all those other good memories, is another huge part of the bash. Because you just hear people talking about the car that they haven't seen and then what that reminded them of. And, you saw Reese Birtle's cars on the track, and then it reminds you of, remember when Reese did this? Remember when Jeff wired the motor in backwards and he pulled the trigger and went backwards through the whole A final grid of the meeting? And all of those fun things then come back, and they're like triggers for bringing back all your memories. So it's one of those really important sort of things that it actually does. It's not just the racing, but it's all those other things that it just brings back. And usually it puts a hell of a smile on a lot of people when they're laughing about it. The number of people who, when they saw Reese's car and all said, remember when Reese went backwards through that A final, and Jeff, Reese yells at Jeff, you wired back wrong. And it was just like everyone's just laughing their heads off. And you go, that's pretty good.
So, Scotty, that's a 411p Tekken speed controller.
Yeah, I was just looking at this photo. This
looks like a peak performance Rick's pick.
It is, yeah.
And I can see the FET choke for the PS87 servo.
I don't know if it was an 87. It might be a 1001 because it's a bit later. This is a 94 Storm 2000. Yeah, but that's exactly the things I was looking at with this photo, Lou. So this is a Storm 2000. Bormac just helped me recently find a Storm 2000, so I've got one in my collection now, and hopefully we'll get to run that at some stage. But this photo, I was looking at those exact things, Lou. The Rick's pick, the peak performance motor in the back. Look at that wiring. I mean, I was a gun. I was a gun for doing the wiring, wasn't I? The gigantic Futaba receiver. Yeah, the choke on the FET servo, you can see there. And the 411p was just an absolute bulletproof.
That was good speed.
Quite a few years. And this car had 7 cell slots, so you could run a 7-cell pack if you like, but you could move the packs forward and backwards and do whatever you wanted to.
Initially, truck was 7-cell for a while.
Yeah, not by this time, but it was.
No, but that's what I mean. Yeah. But early on, it was 7-cell for a while.
So when the Australians went to the first World Champs, so people like Colin Greninger went over to the US, didn't they, for the 85 World Championships, and came back with this idea that, the open class was a 7-cell class. So in Australia, then over the next couple of years at our nationals, we had this class called International, which was 7-cell 4-minute, which was basically what they brought back from the US after that 85 Worlds. Didn't probably lasted a couple of years, I think, in Australia, and by about 88, maybe 87, 88, we're back to all 6-cell classes, and it sort of never happened again after that. But yeah, 7-cell was definitely a thing.
Whereas now we're running lipos that run a 7-cell package anyway.
Oh yeah, that's
It's just like,
way faster than any 7-cell pack from back in the day. Yeah.
With got Hayden Tasker saying that he's loving that Storm 2000.
It's a beauty. This was actually the car that we built in 1994. We painted this body for a review for Racing Lines magazine. I think my friend Murray painted it, and then he went on and won the New South Wales Champs at Central Coast that year, and the Queensland Champs at Hawthorn in 1994 with the Storm 2000. And I actually hardly ever drove it because every time we went to a big race, Murray would drive it, and I'd be running 2- and 4-wheel. But I've wanted one, for years, and so now there's one on the shelf downstairs, and we'll get that out. I'm not sure if I'll quite be ready to run it at the Chargers Vintage Muster, but we'll see how we go. I'm definitely keen to wheel one again.
There was always an interesting thing with Shoemakers back in the day, which was they were more for a grass track, not so much for the dirts. And it was always that thing that everyone would go, the Shoemakers, they're great in England, but they're not so good rest of the world. You got yours to work over here, all right.
Look at those tyres. I mean, does that scream grass or what?
Exactly. Hence the initial lead into the conversation. I'm looking at those and going, you may as well just put roofing clouts through the rubber and just have a grip onto the grass.
Actually, the interesting thing is, so that was the standard Shoemaker truck tyre. It was around for a few years. When we raced at the Illawarra Nationals, 1993, as a mud bath, we ran those tyres in what was then just the stupid things you remember, hey, right? The Shoemaker tyre compounds in those days were blue, which was medium, green, which was soft. We ran those tyres on the back of our Storm at that stage. And in that wet, soft, sloppy mud at Illawarra, those tyres were unbelievably good. Everyone else is running Pro Lines and all sorts of Lacey tyres, all sorts of things. And nobody else ran the Shoemaker tyres, because why would you? Well, we did, and they were amazing. And the truck was not that great, but because of that tyre, we almost got to win the event. But yeah, definitely a grass track tyre. When you look at it now, you go, that's not working on dirt. But in the mud, it turned out to be all right. Yeah. I think I had some photos here from Illawarra from 94. Let me see if I can find them while we keep chatting.
That Quagmire was Illawarra.
The Quagmire, yeah. Let me see if I can find them. Probably should have told you I was going to do this, Andy, before so you can just watch while I scroll through all my photos trying to find Illawarra. There we go.
We can hide it if you have secret squirrel stuff, but otherwise...
No.
There's those tips for the Hornet Evo.
Look at that racetrack. I mean, that's 4-wheel drive day. It was absolutely sloppy.
Abysmal.
Those Shoemaker tyres would work.
Yeah. That's for all that in every other class, the Proline was the tyre that weekend. In truck, the Shoemaker tyre was amazing. Driver stand built on some old concrete culverts. And if you know, you'll be looking at these photos, recognising some of the faces and some of the absolute legends. Third from the left there, Chris Primer would go on to win, and on the very left, my mate Murray Dowsett, who I drove that truck we were just talking about a minute ago. That's a stock final. Then you got people like Barry Putty here, Scotty Pettit and his old man. Scotty's in the middle there, looking very serious. Andrew Gillett, young Andrew Gillett, that's right. It was an amazing event. And there's the legend Andrew Nelson on the left. Always
the legend Peter Chard on the right.
There you go.
Yes.
Andy Nelson always had the coolest pants and the coolest shoes, usually. I don't know if we'll be able to get into the Vintage Bash, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, but I'll put him in a headlock. Greg Fisher.
Greg Fisher up on the fence there.
Peter Crow.
Yep. That's it. They're the photos from that race. Illawarra.
Oh, the Rockin' City.
Where was the Rockin' City? Did I go past
Up
it?
there.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, amazing that chassis, wasn't it? The Rockin' City that came out in 3 different body styles, I think.
Yep, a Ute, that, and
there was just a buggy sort of a thing.
Yeah, buggy one. Yeah.
Predecessor to the Zerda.
Yeah.
Robbie was saying that it never stopped raining in the 80s in England, so it's no surprise that those tyres work in the mud.
I bet.
Look at that truck.
There you go.
That Rockin' City, look at that.
And then we've got a kind of a highly modified version of it by Mark Mason. So that because that car when it first came out was rear motor, so this is a mid motor modification. Classic example of that old school make your car do anything you want it to do.
RPM made an aluminium mid motor conversion from that. The guys who did the Mugen Bulldog, and Chris Alec, I think that was his first conversion on a 4-wheel drive that he used to win the Reedy race.
Yeah.
So it was Chris Alec. You converted a Horobo into a 4-wheel drive and ran that, and then had his A&L trailing armed weirdo cars as well that I love to death. So I say that with love.
2-speed gearbox. Wow.
And what was that?
2-speed gearbox on that Horobo.
Yeah.
Who know all about this? Darren Johnson.
I'm just sitting here thinking Darren Johnson is screaming at the screen, going, "You guys are butchering this. I know all of this information."
I was trying to bring up some of his comments, which were died for a while, but what did he say? So he said Mark Mason.
He's such a legend.
He won the 84 titles with the 44B.
There you go.
What's this one?
Well, this is it. This is the one. This is the car. Yeah.
Well, you probably wouldn't remember, Lou, but my cousin ran one of those down at Baxter Park, and for rear traction, my uncle came up with the idea, and we made dual rear tyres. So we bought another set of tyres and made an adapter, and you had jewels on the back of the Horobo.
No track width box to slide it through.
Nothing. You could do whatever you damn well wanted.
So that's the car as it was sold. You can just see the differences. There's a rear motor at the back there, and
a radio box.
And that's the difference that the Mark Mason National Championship winning car. That Darren would know every little bit of detail about that car. He's such a gun. In terms, he's probably got one, hasn't he? Have you got one of these, Darren?
Probably got third car.
Yeah, that car. Probably got that car.
Tell us, Darren. I got the feed of the comments working again. So yeah.
Come on, Darren. Tell us about this car. Bring it with you. Bring it with you to the back. Yeah.
Bring it down.
I like the fact that it's got the aluminium bumper bar at the back. The piano wire bumper bar. That's
handle.
Just the handle. Yeah, just to pick it up.
The marshalling handle. You don't have to touch the tyres.
What else have we got? We got a nice heat sink on the motor. It's a bit hard to tell all the detail that is in that pretty grainy old photo, but amazing.
Lancia Rally Vega. That's right, the Vega, the Hilux, and the 44B. Yeah, the Vega. And
we converted our 44B Vega into a 2-wheel drive buggy by just basically removing the belt and driving it, 2-wheel drive, and it was absolutely terrible.
As most of them were. I think the only car you could do that to was an Optima.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be right. Yeah. It did help me win the club championship. We had this. So this is where are we? Lota, which is one of the predecessor clubs to Chargers back in '86 or '87 or something. And you scored points not only for the way you finished in each race meeting, but for how much you improved over the season. And so I'd been running this butchered Horobo 44B 2-wheel drive conversion, which honestly was as bad as it sounds like it would be. And then just before the last points series race for the year, we bought an RC10 and I ran that. And so my lap times improved by so much that I scored a ridiculous amount of points and won the club point series. Just because of the vagaries of that point system. All it took was moving from this horrible 2-wheel drive car to, of course, one of the gold standard all-time greatest RC cars, the RC10.
It was actually funny because do you think about the choice of chassis you had back in the day too?
Yeah.
You know, think about all the different people putting their hat in the ring, whereas now you've got, you know, maybe 3, maybe 4 manufacturers. Back in the day, what was it? Marui, Nichimo, Hirobo, SG, you know, Kyosho, Tamiya. Just everyone had a crack.
Yeah, it's a bit. To be honest, it's a little bit like 8 scale these days. There are, you know, I was just talking with some people on the weekend about 8 scale off road, and you know, there's probably a dozen manufacturers now in 8 scale off road making first class quality cars. And, different. It's different, but similarly in terms of the scope of choices that you have available. Yeah, I think I had a couple other photos from Illawarra. There's Lou Solar's little video of the Twister.
Well found, yeah.
One of the Twister motors. I had a couple of other photos from Illawarra, but I can't find them here.
What was that car? Oh, double X.
Yeah.
That's Campbell, 1993 New South Wales titles, isn't it?
Yeah.
When
he brought that back from the Worlds, I think.
Swept everything.
Yeah, wiped the floor with everyone. But he had a really good stoush with Brooksy.
All 3 classes, hey, won that weekend. Just untouchable in St Ives. That's a pretty early front wing, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon too many people would have been running front wings.
Yeah.
What's the rear tyre, Lou?
80.
80s,
yep.
Yeah. And the wide 5s on the front.
Yep. That was a combo that we used at the 94 Nationals too.
Yeah. I really liked the 80. It was a really good tyre. Probably my favourite of the Pro lines.
I'll bring you a set for the Vintage Bash.
Don't make me drive a Top Cat with 80s on the back.
Smithy?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. We'll just keep sharing photos forever. If we go
so
back
it's not
that.
Just reminiscing by Cookie, is it?
No, that's
got to balance that out a bit.
I know, mate. Tell me, like I'm a shy, quiet guy, but put a microphone in front of my mouth and I won't shut up for hours. It's kind of how we roll.
Awesome.
I think you should share that photo that
Mr. Lou has.
Lou's got that Lou's got up, because that's a spectacular photo from out of turn.
It's a competition for your Schumacher around that time.
Yeah, look at that
drive.
Mostly Alex D.
That's a cracking photo, isn't it? Absolutely cracking photo, and a great car. Yeah. I like it. I really like it.
Pretty cool. Such like action and sort of forces and everything captured there.
Yeah, and the colours, like it's a beautiful photo. Good paint, and a really good truck that we chased hard for years trying to get on terms with those things.
Yeah, with out of turn photography, hopefully, Toby Turner can make it to the bash for at least one or more of the days this year as well. So he always takes some pretty awesome photos.
Yeah, I've got a couple from him on my, and they're just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I've got one of his on my desktop as the wallpaper, which I haven't changed for a long time. I love it.
Oh, it's a minty car.
Oh, the Jeff Primer mobile.
Jeff Primer. Jeff Primer's done one of our. Was it cars and the body, or
he's done the car. He's done Jack Johnson.
Yeah, Jack Johnson car for the '89 reenactment.
Yeah, that's another shot with some really nice colours in it, isn't it? The green grass, and there's something about a racetrack with grass that in every racetrack back in the day was grass infields and things.
Yeah,
just. They look the bomb.
Even that mud track, Scotty had a bit of grass in the infields.
There was a bit of grass. Oh, geez, it rained. And it rained and it rained and it rained at Illawarra. It was bad.
Yeah, like who else can make a manta ray look good?
It's just
other than Toby.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Even a manta ray looks good. One of the weirdest body shapes of all time.
Yeah.
Looks like one of those
so that's
mini four drives.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Lou.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just something else to take away from the Vintage Bash is the awesome stills that we end up after the event with. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably try and put some more of them up on the Vintage Bash website. I've got a few there in the sort of gallery, but we'll try and add a few there.
Oh, look at that!
A few more there as we go. Whoa, that looks even better.
That looks like it could be in a catalogue.
It's almost box art quality photography, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh,
amazing. Well, guys, we've been going. Was it over an hour and a half? Hour and 40s.
Yeah,
for this
been
evening.
yapping on for far too long.
Which is pretty awesome. It's been fantastic.
Now we are just finding fun photos.
Yeah, it's like, oh, check out that
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, Scotty, looking forward to you again to come down and give us your RC history knowledge and voice to the Bash 4.
It's really fun. I've got to say, like I really have like the vintage side and the Bash, and I have really loved working with Matt and Tony from RC Race Media probably the last season and a half. I've been working with those guys on some races, and they're so good at what they do. They're so passionate about RC and about storytelling through media, and so for us to be able to bring that part of the industry to the Bash is going to be really fun. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to be there. Get a little bit of wheel time, hopefully, and tell some stories and meet some people that I haven't met and check out some cool cars, and it'll be great. It'll be really good.
Brilliant.
Yeah, can't wait.
What more can you possibly want?
I want the best chocolate milkshake in Melbourne. So someone's got to tell me where is the best
chocolate. The Finas all over
it. Aaron?
Got connections.
We got to know. I got to have, while I'm there, while I'm in town.
Yeah, is that,
I think
is that harking back to your, was it reviews of milk or chocolate milk? Is that it's like a thing that you,
get on Instagram, go find me at the milkshake search over on Instagram.
That's the one.
So, I was in the middle of an interview in Manila covering the Philippine Masters last month. I think I was talking to one of the American pro drivers. I can't remember who it was now. And one of the Kiwi guys, Casey Dawson, showed up and stood behind him and held up 2 iced chocolates that he'd gone off and found in Manila of all places. And so we did a review of the iced chocolate live on air, riveting television. I'm sure people all around the world are going, "What is wrong with you idiots?" But it was it was a really good milkshake, really good.
Yeah.
So that's my hopes for the Vintage Bash is while I'm there, while we're telling toy car stories and racing, is that I can find a really good.
Has to be chocolate milk. So that's what Precious.
Don't you worry about that, Scotty. I'm on it.
Pressure's on. Pressure's on Dash.
I've got that. Got that under control.
Toy cars be damned. Get me a chocolate milkshake. Yeah.
Damn right.
You don't want vintage milkshakes, I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. No.
Can't leave that to the cars.
No. Look at that photo. That's beautiful. Yeah. Look at the Novak sticker, the True Pitch sticker up above the motor there. The colours, unreal.
That iconic paint job.
Yeah.
Anyone in Australia knows what that is.
Seen that one.
Who races RC cars.
And the spring choice, right? It always had to be green fronts, pink rears.
Yep.
Yeah. I do remember that. I think it was Darren and Steve Perry were the first ones in Queensland to etch the colours off their springs, so no one could copy their setup. But it doesn't matter because it's always green front, pink rear, as far as I can remember. For the Losi boys.
Pretty much.
Good stuff.
Brilliant.
It's a No Fear sticker, is it? Just above the window.
Yeah, No Fear, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to have No Fear.
Yeah.
You and your
very good.
Bowler.
Oh, well, the sticker. Well, you got to try to find the period correct stickers for the car. Like it's
Team Smooth.
No point putting a TLR sticker on a Losi Double X. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's one of the things I loved about building the Cougar 2 was the period stickers that came with the car. So they're ugly by today's standards, but it doesn't matter. Like you got to run those stickers.
It's fair to say Schumacher's done their re-releases spot on.
They really, yeah, they have. Like it, even the things that were wrong with the car, they didn't fix. You know, like it's.
Yay!
It's good. It's good. And so when you build it, it is just like the original. They really haven't, you know, it's good. They've really done a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard lots of people say that. Like personally, I haven't built one, but yeah, everyone that has, they say the same sort of sentiment.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
When you come up, mate, when you come up to Brisbane, you can have a wheel of the
Oh yeah.
the Cougar 2000.
Oh, that'd be
the Cougar 2, I should say.
Cougar 2. Yep, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I think all three of us here are coming up to see you and all the guys up there. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a poll, Cookie. What car do you want us to bring up?
Yeah. Yeah, because talking about like try and get the Hornet ready, and then I've got my 834 and stuff. So yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I think you do need to bring a Hornet.
Yeah.
You do need to bring a Hornet.
Yeah, it looks.
Should
I saw the
have worn that
video.
into your suitcase somehow.
I saw the video of you guys running.
I wanted to be part of that. That looked awesome.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it was brilliant.
It's a really it's a really good sized track for the Hornets as well. It's a little bit smaller track than Knox, but it's
Perfect.
yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those that might not know, absolutely delightfully, Chargers named that racetrack and the new dirt racetrack after my old man David Guy, who'd been a life member of the club and heavily involved. And there were a few tears shed. You know, they did a big presentation speech and unveiled a big banner on the front of the driver's stand with a kind of caricature likeness of him. It's, you know, so for him, for our family, it was a really special
amazing
thing. Every time I'm there now, I look over and go, "Sheesh, that's amazing!
Yeah.
What an incredible kind of story that the club shared in the telling of." Yeah,
That's
good.
That's brilliant.
Fun little track. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
You'll enjoy it.
looking forward to it. Looks like Darren's coming up as well. Oh,
Good.
heading up there
Great.
as well for it.
I hope he drives up so he can bring 1,000 cars with him. Look at that. Beautiful.
It's a Johnson
Is that
replica.
is that Carter's?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carter's building one of our. He's building the Joel Johnson Ultima
Nice.
for the Bash
Yep.
89 race as well.
You know what we should do? So if you're still with us watching, you can feel free to go. We're just going to stay here for another couple hours and go through Lou's photo collection and just still on Lou's photo collection?
No, these are from the Bash.
These are Bash photos.
Just ones that I've just picked out.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it'll be like a Le Mans live stream. Just go for 24 hours.
What can possibly go wrong?
Yeah, not going to go delirious or anything.
No.
And
The
probably
stories will get more and more unbelievable.
yeah. And a shout out, I guess, for guys in Melbourne. We've got that Rear Motor, Rear Motor Masters on Sunday at Knox, which is not really a Masters. It's just hey, get your rear motor cars out and have a bit of fun, as we always do. So yeah, we've got that on Sunday as well. So it's like the 5th Sunday of the month. So we try and do, the Knox Club tries to do something a bit different or interesting. We had a test and tune, or was it live and learn or something?
Yeah, we had a test and tune day on the 5th Sunday.
Last time, yep. So this time we've got the rear motor. So it's basically any rear motor buggy, bring it out, vintage or modern or later. And we'll have, pretty much 2 different classes for those, like before 2000 and after, or whatever it is. And just chuck them out there and have a bit of fun for the 5th Sunday. So yeah, come down for that if you're around Melbourne or not.
If the weather permits.
Yeah, the forecast was looking good, and then it's turned a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. What do we got? Yeah, it's probably a low chance of a couple of millimeters on Sunday. So I think we'll be all right. It'll be a chilly one, so bring your jacket. Big coats.
That's Melbourne winter, right? You guys live there.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Doesn't mean we have to like it.
Have to deal with it. Where are the pictures? Oh yeah, there we go. There.
Look at that.
Amazing. That is, I mean, that's that moment from that bash last year when when that photo of cars just completely lining the track. One of the most iconic kind of moments, I would say, in the history of RC in Australia. Like just an extraordinary collection of cars, and the photos were amazing. And I wasn't even there, and I was just gobsmacked by it.
It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Oh, amazing! It was an amazing thing.
Just over 500 cars, side by side, doing a full lap.
Can you believe it? I've just picked out a Storm and a Cougar 2000 already in these photos.
There's no optical bias in those eyes, Scotty.
Right next to an orange Traxxas TRX1 over there in the second lane. Is that a Traxxas? I reckon it is.
Well, Eagle Eye.
Yeah, that's a Traxxas, isn't it?
Yep.
So just to its left is the Cougar 2000, and then the next one's the Storm. But the Traxxas caught my eye.
Yeah, the Traxxas body is unmistakable. That shape, that's iconic. Whether you love it or not, it's iconic.
2-litre Coke bottle, basically.
So that's an original Cougar because it's got the Yokomo yellow, the Yokomo hard plastic green wing on the back too. So
that's a Cougar 2000. Yeah.
Sorry, Cougar 2000. But I mean, but it's back from the day because it's got the Yokomo plastic wing on the back. It's not a re-re.
No, they haven't re-released those ones yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I did ask Shoemaker what the next re-release car in the series would be, and I was assuming probably Boss Cat, and they were very tight-lipped and would not tell me. But we'll just have to wait and see. Could be a Storm truck, I guess, because now the Cougar 2's been re-released, the Storm truck could come back.
That'd make you happy, wouldn't it?
I'd love a Storm. Yeah, they were a fun truck. As long as I can get some of those grass tyres, right?
Yeah, you need a grass track to run it on.
Yeah. Well, next to the track at Knox, there's a nice big grass
next to the
area.
There we go.
Well, actually, Robbie wants a Robbie's going to build us an enclosed driver's stand for us and heat it. So yeah, thanks, Rob. Awesome.
Perfect for winter.
Yeah, brilliant. Expect it there on Sunday, Rob. It's Darren.
Why are all the best photos of Losi cars, Lou? What's going on?
I don't know, mate. The best cars I was.
Oh, there we go. What's going? Oh, wait.
Oh, there we go.
I got that Cat 2000 comment a bit too late. That was from earlier.
Yeah.
That's not a Losi or a Traxxas.
The short arm RC10.
It's not a Shoemaker.
Yeah.
What is it? I wonder.
Beautiful. Just does need a driver's helmet, doesn't it? Looking through that windscreen.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal car! What an absolutely phenomenal car.
They are pretty cool.
Talk about Icon. Yeah.
It's got the Nerf bars on the side too, just in front of the rear wheels. Yeah.
Changing the world, that car.
Ready to take on the frogs and the Hornets.
Yeah. Destroy the Hornets. I'm working on a driver for my Hornet, and it's not going to be human.
Oh, of course not.
So we'll see what happens there.
Not going to be human.
Yeah. It's not a rule, but definitely should be a suggestion for Bash and any vintage racing. I reckon that should be a driver figure.
We were talking about that at Chargers on Sunday, actually.
Oh yeah. What was the agreement there? That yes, it should be highly encouraged.
Yeah, I can't. I was trying to work out how I would do that in the Cougar and what I would, but just some cars like that body, that car, like you just look at that photo and go, imagine if there was a driver's head inside that, it would look really cool in the photos. Yeah. Detman, yeah. Now we're back into some old school photos, Luke.
Old Knox.
The main straight at Knox.
Old Knox, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it Robbie? Robbie agrees. Is that when I said he's going to build a heated driver stand for us? Or I'm not sure what he's agreeing to. Something. Probably the driver figure. Look, he got matching. Daisy's got a matching jacket.
Oh yeah,
for your RC10. There we go. Look at that. Which one's the RC10?
Nice.
Yeah, it's the same. So it's just black and white, like the arms and the tires, and it's got the matching top.
I see no difference.
And definitely rear motor. They're both definitely rear motors.
Yeah.
Yep, they can both run on Sunday.
Yep. There you go. The car of the Bash.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going to get Andrew Nelson to come out and have a drive of it.
We so do need to see Nelson behind the wheel of a Traxxas. Yeah.
Now, I reckon on that note, boys, we
time to go.
Wrap it up for
time to go.
Friday the 27th of June.
Yep, it's been a fantastic one, and most of the technology worked sort of this time.
Good.
Except for
thanks for coming on, Scotty.
Pleasure to be with you. It's always a pleasure to be with you, boys. I look forward to hanging out for a few days in October, November.
Yep, and
that'll be really fun.
See you in August, and then
in August. That's right.
October.
Yeah.
In was it end of October? Yep, 20. Was it? Should know by now. 29th to the 2nd. 30th. What are the dates? Good. The dates 30th to the 2nd of November.
30th to the 2nd, mate.
Yep, they're the ones. Awesome.
Yes, however you find a way, be there in Melbourne at Knox.
Yeah.
It will be fun times.
This is one not to be missed, I think.
Yep. Come see me and I'll interview you live on air. You can we'll beam that interview all around the world.
Yeah. We'll get
your grandmother back home in Belgium can watch.
Everyone can have their 15 minutes of fame with Scotty. It's going to be awesome.
No problem at all.
And good record for the history of RC.
It'll be awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you all.
Look at that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll
Thank you.
See you next time.
Scotty Ernst would say, see you tomorrow.